Hi, my name is Shristi,
This is Chris.
and welcome to the Snapped Branch.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Hindsight.
Find us on hindsight2020.com.
And you can also look up our journal on Instagram, hindsight.journal, where you can also find us, and we'll be posting content. And if you want to submit any cool non-creative work, we're always here.
Non-creative? It better not be creative, otherwise we won't take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're talking about stress in college. We are college students, obviously. We go to CU Boulder. And yeah, it's kind of rough. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's mid-semester. We're at this point, we're just trying to get through, to be honest. Whatever comes. We're not trying to have any hindsight, but we're just gonna try to work through it.
That was a really bad pun, but it's okay. I'll let it slide. It's weird because I'm pretty sure that it was just the beginning of the semester.
Yep. I was sure too, but it seems like, I don't know, you just happened to blink once and now you're now you're in a moment of crisis. You're in a room full of fire. What are you gonna do?
I did not go to my classes today, and I rearranged my entire room because that's my way of coping with stress is I just rearrange my entire life so that I have some sort of like, I don't know, maybe it's like a control issue because I feel like school is very just out of my control, you know.
And this is like a good way to talk about like how we first came about to see you. I mean, I know it's hard to recall something when we're just going at it day by day and just trying to focus and be in the moment or not. But I guess, what are your general thoughts about when you first came to see you? Any like expectations you were held, or like any stresses you were thinking about?
Honestly, I expected my first year to go a lot like high school. I was very good with high school. I, you know, averaged straight A's. Um, and then I came to college and it was like, "Oh, you thought you were smart? Absolutely not. Like, sit down." And it was a really big ego check, honestly, because suddenly I became like a very smart person to trying to figure everything out all over again. And I'm still trying to figure it out, but it does get a little easier, but like it's hard.
Yeah, I could speak something similar too. Like, I mean, for the most part, like when I was, high school, I just wanted to be done. Like, I just didn't really care. I was so exhausted. I mean, it's a moment. It's a famous word that everyone uses, senioritis, where you just kind of. It seems like I've used that. It seems so long since I've used that word, but but yeah, ultimately, I just wanted to start something new, new expectations, and it's sort of the cliche, new me, new that. Oh my God, everything's gonna be so different, and well, guess what? It's not. It's just a lot more work, and you know, and sometimes it's hard to like uh, take it yourself seriously with these situations because you just overlook it and it just slips right under you, and then before you know it, you're right where we are in a burning room as we try to figure out what we're doing actually. And ultimately, I guess long story short, the stresses of class responsibility, it's a thing. We just ultimately set ourselves with so many expectations. We end up being unrealistic, and we end up now dreading every single moment of our lives, questioning how how things could be better. And I guess, I mean, this pretty much brings up one of our questions, is just that, um, what causes us to be stressed, which are unrealistic expectations. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Sure. Um, one I keep bringing the topic back to high school a little bit, but high school was very structured, and college is the exact opposite of that. You go to class, you don't go to class, no one cares. You choose the classes you take, you choose how many classes you take, and that sort of freedom is what has stressed me out. Um, especially since I was a COVID freshman, we didn't have to go to in person classes. Everything was online. And then all of a sudden, we made that transition back into in person classes. And I found it so hard to actually show up. Um, and on top of that, I added so many credits. And if there's anything anyone takes away from this podcast episode, don't don't overdo it. Will I be taking that advice? Absolutely not, because I'm again very like I have a huge ego and I think I can do it. And that's why I am stressed 24/7.
Speaking along the lines, I, I mean, we came from like the COVID. I mean, but my first year was a bit different, where I came in like as a freshman. Everything was pretty normal for the most part, and I think, yeah, there were similar expectations with that sort of freedom, and what can when there's a lot of room, there's also a lot of room to like to screw up too, and especially with Zoom, I think because you didn't have to walk place to place, you could just stay comfortably where you were. Like it just made you think like, hey, I could put a lot more on my plate and go from there and handle it. And but go figures that staring at a screen for what 20 hours is a healthy thing.
It's bad.
Yeah, like 24/7, and then like your eyes are glued to people speaking, or at some point it just seems all, I don't know, fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you do to sort of relieve that stress? Because I know I really struggled with that.
I didn't. It, it all ended pretty terribly. I have to be honest. Yeah, it wasn't great. I think ultimately, like, if you don't know how to manage it, you'll end up burning yourself alive. And sometimes you just have
Don't
to,
actually do
yeah, sometimes like it kind of sucks because you are just really stuck in your own world perception that you can do things, and it's hard to let go of that sort of ego that you've been
that.
talking about, and ultimately being aware that your feelings do matter, and that you should also recognize that you're starting to feel like overworked or even tired. Sometimes I think that is easily dismissed by a lot of students, and I'm still working on it, but like sometimes I easily like it just easily gets past me, and I just get tired all of a sudden. I wonder why.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I This semester is a little weird for me because I um am taking in-person classes and then I'm also taking online classes, which honestly was kind of a mistake because again, COVID showed me that I don't handle online classes very well. But because I have a little bit more time on my hands, when in reality I really don't, I picked up a job. And so now my weekdays are blocked up and I have to drive to Louisville or Longmont every single day. And it's just, yeah, so I did not handle that stress well. I just added more. But I will say though, I'm sort of trying to figure it out. I like am looking at all of the assignments I have due and I'm trying to figure out how I can do them ahead of time, which is, what I used to do anyways, but because I have so much more, it's harder to do that because what I have like from 5 p.m. until I go to bed to do everything and anything that I can think of. So, time management will be your best friend, but it will also be your worst enemy if you cannot figure it out. Yeah.
Wait, what kind of job do you work?
Yeah, I'm a medical assistant.
Well,
Where?
like, wait, how many hours does that demand out of you? Or
So, I'm pretty part-time. I have class until like 11 every day and then I go from like 12 till 5, which is still 5 hours a day. Um and I enjoy it. I do. Um part of it is that it does help me like relieve stress because I really do enjoy it. But I also am putting my schoolwork aside for it, which isn't right, but you know.
But I think you have a point too to make too, that sometimes the school life isn't like really the best idea to, or life to sort of lead, because I think a lot of students coming in tend to just think that their life is completely revolved around what, doing assignments, homework, when at the end of the day they're like, I mean, in your case, like dealing with people, but in generally speaking, like you're dealing with people at the end of the day, not just assignments to get done or even grades for that matter. I mean, I'm not saying that you should not ignore it, like, oh, like screw grades, it's not that important. It's actually complicated, but it's quite, I would say, unfortunate that we do have to be feel so pressured to do work because we are evaluated at the end of the day and by the institution in some ways.
Yeah, like you bring up an interesting point. Like our lives don't revolve around homework assignments and exams and stuff like that. But honestly, I disagree because I'm my undergrad is not the end of the road for my college career. I'm trying to get into like very competitive programs after this. And if I can't keep my grades up and if I can't keep my extracurriculars up or like all of that, like I would have to restart this entire process. And that is stressful. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate, like law school, medical school, PA school, all of that stuff. It's difficult. It's hard. And we need to take it day by day because if we don't, we will burn out and we won't be able to reach our goals, which is very cliche, but like it's true.
I mean, I don't completely disagree with you and all that, but like, I mean, I'm heading to grad school and I also have my questions too, but I guess what I was, I guess proposing that it's just an unfortunate to be
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
it's an unfortunate situation where you always have to feel like sort of this
Like you should be doing
anxiety,
something.
like you should be doing
Yeah.
something and like in order to get to XYZ, you have to do, I don't know, ABC
Yeah.
sort of thing.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what like you going to grad school and that's exactly what it is. Like we have to do all of these things to do that stuff, and it's hard because like people don't value life experience as much as they do grades.
Yeah. And I guess just to emphasize too, just people just don't get a chance to just step back and reflect what they actually want. Some people just follow the notions, like, oh, do this and you'll get this, but
Yeah.
they don't really necessarily question what they want. And this, I guess, this whole idea could be just attributed to as to why students get stressed in the first place because they feel more compelled by weird, like what everyone tells them to do or what
Or like what family tells you
what family, I don't know, or what the what website says, what gives you, what brings the bucks in, what brings in the
to do. What
money.
brings the buck? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just really hard to, discern what you really want. And I think amidst all that and more work on top of you, you don't even get a chance to think about that. So it's, you put yourself in a sucky situation and it ultimately really questions how can you relax in these moments, It's just like, I know, like with my whole weird metaphor about dancing in like the building of fire, like, why are you gonna smoke a cigarette? Just
Can we insert the Elmo on fire meme, please? Yeah, just
yeah,
like ah!
Yeah, sure. That'll be the thumbnail.
yeah, just grab while you're taking a break. You just grab a cigar, put it against the fire, then that's your break, and then you keep going on. But on a serious note, when to call it, when to know you have to step back and just relax. You have anything to say about that?
I feel like I'm the exact opposite person to ask about that. Like
I mean, some people cope differently. Like sometimes more work is actually more beneficial because like they're able to like, hey, hey. There,
I know what you're
yeah.
about.
I mean, I'm still siding with like for me, it's better to just step back sometimes because
Right.
it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
But some people just work well under stress, and it's
Yeah.
probably their life transforming moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I really value hands-on experiences. So that's why, like working in the hospital really helps me de-stress, honestly, cuz it's this is going to sound really bad, but it's really brainless. Like I have certain rules that I have to follow. I have certain rules that I need to align with so that I can get the job done, and it's just like I know what I have to do. I get it done and then I go home. And then that's it. That's what helps me. Oh yeah. So I guess I am the person that needs to add work to relax. Um didn't know that. But I mean like over the weekends I'll like, get some homework done and then I'll watch some Gilmore Girls.
Let's go, Girls.
Oh my god. It's on Netflix and it is the greatest mother-daughter show in the entire world.
What about Avatar: The Last Airbender?
And Avatar: The Last Airbender. Our cameraman on the other side of this is obsessed with Avatar: The Last Airbender and absolutely hates what is it called?
I don't hate Legend of Korra. I think
No, not Legends of Korra.
Oh, House of the Dragon.
The House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
he
gave
hates
up
it.
watching that.
Like we had to scrap the entire first episode because he could not shut up about the House of the Last Dragon or whatever.
House of the
Dragon, whatever. Sorry.
Yeah. Not to like go on a bit of a side tangent, but
What do you think about Avatar?
it's pretty mid, but
Okay, that's
hey,
wrong.
This will be Christopher's last episode.
maybe we'll see another time. Maybe I'll appear out of nowhere and still be alive after this.
Lights the
God.
room on fire.
While
You love that metaphor.
while I grab my cigar and put it in the back.
Yes.
Wait, just chill.
Just chill. We're talking about relaxation and it's burning a room down. I think that's a pretty good segue.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, like it's hard to call when, but like if there's a way to really have some way you either sort of dissociate from your work or maybe in some ways have a time or place where you can personally reflect on things like writing or maybe reading or maybe even watching TV shows. They're all good ways to de-stress. Even though I think Avatar is pretty mid, there are some other shows that you can watch that are pretty great too.
I have a question. This is also a side note, but have you guys watched She-Hulk?
No, it looks terrible.
It is not great, but it's so brainless. It's so brainless that I find it very funny. Like after a long day, I will watch She-Hulk and have the greatest time of my life. That is how I relax, by watching really crappy shows. Sorry.
I mean, ultimately, it's just like something else to engage with that just can relax you, like trashy TV shows are just great sometimes.
Yep.
Like The Bachelor, like who loves to talk about that?
What's going on with Miranda and Dave these days?
Exactly. Who will get him?
The final rose. I don't even know how it goes.
I don't know.
Is it the final rose? I don't know.
Something along those lines, but like I don't know. I think it's great to. I mean, it's so easy to like start some fun gossip about a show that's meant to be gossiped about, right? I mean,
Christopher,
I could.
Are you a gossip girl?
No, I'm not.
Sure.
I wish.
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure. Okay. So, how has stress positively affected you? I know that's like an oxymoron, but it could bring some good stuff.
I mean, you brought a pretty good point about your work, right? Some good stress. I mean, I'm not trying to like reflect it back to you so I don't answer the question, but maybe, I don't know, some good. I'm trying to think of stuff, but like ultimately, I think sometimes there are just like serious questions about like what you want to do when you're like, for me, it's like grad school and like and I want to do like grad school in something in the humanities, and there's a lot of like downsides and to it, and it's really hard. Ultimately, it's really hard. It's just kind of seems like it's going in a place where not a lot of people will be able to do it, and there won't be jobs for it. And I know it sounds like I'm getting all pessimistic here, but I think in this so-called weird negative space, like it really gets you to think more productively, and in some ways it's a good stress because it like lets you think about what path is good for me, or should I even do this because like I'm gonna be broke, or I might end up being a janitor. Nothing to say, nothing that's wrong with a janitor, but like sometimes being a janitor sounds like not a bad option. Like,
Dump truck drivers make 6 figures. What? Our cameraman is like flabbergasted. What?
I might be a dump truck driver one day.
He said he might be a dump truck driver one day.
Not a
So
drunk dump.
dump truck. Okay, it's a hard word for me. I think you brought up a really good point about how that stress makes you think about where your life is going, which sounds like an existential crisis, but we have to think like it will be really hard before it gets better. Like we have to struggle and we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable before we like figure it all out. And we don't need to figure it all out right now. We're under 23. That's I don't really know how old everyone is in here, but like we have a lot of life to live. And Ethan is shaking his head. He's the cameraman. He's
Not
like,
with the amount of Red Bull I drink.
nah, dude.
Yeah.
Say, I got like the biggest can of Red Bull that's sitting in my. It's huge.
Can I have it?
No, I need it.
When was the last time you slept? Was it 2 days ago? Give me it.
Actually, it was more than 2 days ago. I like have not slept in a minute. I'm very tired.
Me too.
Yeah, Ethan.
I didn't have any Red Bull this morning though.
Neither did I.
You know what? I didn't ask.
Well, you kind of did. Okay. Anyways, I forgot what we were talking about.
positive effects of stress.
Right. But where was I going with that?
I'm not entirely sure. You just said we just live our nice lives. We still got lots to live.
Oh, lots of life to live.
Lots of life to live.
We have a lot of life to
We
live.
don't need to worry about.
And no, we if we don't worry about anything, then well, I don't mean to sound like a butthole, but trying to keep it PG. But we might end up homeless. If you don't care, then how are you supposed? We stress because we care.
Maybe. trying to keep your comment. I'm internalizing it.
You should not internalize it. Share it.
Like, oh, sorry, externalize.
You should share it.
I died a little, but it's okay. It's a bit cliche, and
I feel like a lot of this podcast is very
yeah,
cliche.
what we're saying is nothing new. And if you guys like hearing that, that's great too.
So stressed all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and like
But-
hearing sorry, go for
Oh
it.
yeah, no, but I was gonna mention too, like there's a lot of, I mean, there's that common psychology thing about flight or fight, and that I don't know, it's ultimately like what they call like good stress or use stress, where you're constantly working for something, but I think when it's prolonged to such an extent where it actually deteriorates yourself, like that's a no go. So in some ways, it's like everything has a good amount until it gets too much. Like
Yeah. Oh, in regulation or in moderation.
exactly. So like too much Red Bull could like cost your whole health, something like that.
Ethan, too much Red Bull will hurt your kidneys and your liver. I'm sure you had more points.
Oh no, I'm just gonna say like Red Bull in regulation, not like 3 doses every single day, is not regulated.
Sorry, but Red Bull just tastes fascinating. Like it's so good. It's so
No, it's my
good.
favorite drink.
No, it is, right? Okay, wait. Have you tried Monster before?
I haven't. I'm very brand loyal. to
You
Red Bull.
should try White Monster. They have so many flavors. There's way more caffeine in it, and it's cheaper. I'm pretty sure. You should try a Monster. I'll bring a Monster. Well, no, I will bring my own Monster next time because I can't afford to buy more than one. But you know what I mean. Monster should sponsor us.
Red Bull should sponsor us.
Red Bull should sponsor him, Monster can sponsor me.
Avatar can sponsor me.
Yeah. And not
And
the
Red
House
Dead
of
Redemption
Dragon.
2. And not House of the Dragon.
Yeah. We don't like House of Dragon.
Of the
Oh
Dragon.
my god. We don't like the spin-off of Game of Thrones.
Thank you.
There you go. Regulation, right. Wow. I'm very excited for our break that's coming up after this topic.
You guys see what happens when you drink too much Red Bull. Or too much
This is what happens when you have a lack of Red Bull.
a lack of Red Bull or a lack of sleep, a lack of regulated sleep from the two of you, the cameraman. But then I'm one to talk to. But then let's be honest, students are sleep deprived, and I don't know how to deal with that. Any thoughts? Just
Probably sleep, honestly. We should all just take a nap.
I heard.
Next podcast, we don't do podcasts, we just film ourselves napping. Come take a nap.
That's creepy.
It's weird, but we get to take a nap.
Wait, can you hear what I'm saying? Like, or no?
You need the microphone.
Are you like able to hear what I'm saying if I yell it loud enough?
Like maybe if you yell loud enough, but I'd prefer if you just pass the microphone back and forth.
I was gonna say like what you were talking about, like filming us sleep. Wouldn't that just be like quite similar to like those lo-fi study sessions?
Okay, if I have a single piece of advice, lo-fi has gotten me through so many exams. Cause like I love listening to music, but when I'm studying, I need to be able to zone out, and lo-fi does that so well for me.
I listen to the Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtrack and the Avatar soundtrack when I study.
Ethan listens to the Avatar and the Red Dead 2 Redemption soundtrack.
Red Dead 2 Redemption, yes, that's what
I
it's
just
called.
said that.
It's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay, I am tired.
RDR2.
RDR2.
Party. Do you guys know that reference? Jeffrey Dahmer? No.
But yeah, ultimately, like I said, it's also just learn when to call it, because at the end of the day, no one knows you better than yourself, right? I mean, it might be obvious already, but like sometimes you just really have to step back, and it's also just hard to like distinguish whether what you're saying is like said from someone else, or like I'm just doing this because someone said this, that. What I'm saying is it's hard to tell what you want to do when there's so many voices in your head telling you what to do. Like, but my point being is like sometimes what's best is intuition, right? Going how you feel, listening, or just feeling the air. What not?
Yeah, listen to your body. If it is telling you that you need to take a break, then do that. It will help. It'll help in the long run, because I mean, if you aren't able to turn a homework assignment on time, that's 10% off. But that's also like it'll help you figure out your stuff faster, and it'll prevent burnout.
And sometimes maybe the burning room is just our perception too.
All right, we're going to take a break because this one can't stop talking about the burning room. So Welcome back. Now we're gonna talk about how stress. Wow. Sorry, that ASMR reading just de-stressed me so much. Like I can't even talk. Um, Beautiful piece, by the way. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about how our future really stresses us out because that is it really affects me a lot, like a lot.
I mean, yeah, all things considered, based off of, I guess, Caitlin's wonderful piece too, it's like, how do we get through this dread? I mean, even though hers is going through Zoom and all, it's like, how do we deal with these anxieties and what do we look for in the future when there's so much stress going on? Sorry, I was about to use the burning room metaphor again.
He loves that damn burning room.
But for the most part, I think, yeah, all things considered, we touched a bit about this, about whether what to do, and it's just that solid regulation of, I mean, knowing what you want, but also knowing when to call it when things get too much.
Yeah, and that's not saying like you have to call it permanently, just like learn to be able to take that step back. Like, undergrad can be really stressful for some people, especially when, they're trying to go to grad school. We have to worry about grades, we have to worry about extracurriculars. I sound like a broken machine, but we have to take everything into account to make sure we have the best possible chances. And I'm stressing myself out now thinking about it, but it is like very much a huge topic that I feel like doesn't get talked about a lot.
Yeah, and just like when you're going through it all, like, let's say what, I don't know, your dog dies. Like,
Oh
what?
my god, we are no, no,
No, my dog got put down last week.
I will actually start crying.
It was Monday. It was really sad.
No,
Are you actually serious?
Yeah, he was 17 years old.
I will actually start crying. We should not bring up dead dogs or dead animals of any kind. I like this.
Yeah, that really hurt my feelings. Thanks a lot, Chris.
guys, I'm trying to make a point here. Like, when your dog dies, or okay, when your dog dies, or like when. Okay, I'll have another example. Other stresses, you end up having a fallout with a good friend, right?
Or your dog dies.
Or your dog dies. Like, and then what? You sit with it for 1 2 few days or so, and it ends up just making you feel terrible, and like ends up disorienting you completely about where you want to do, or even what you're doing right now. Like, at some point, like, it just, yeah, everything seems fuzzy then. And I think when things are like, it's hard too, because when things are all fuzzy, you can't make calls or like take a step back knowing when to take a break. It And so I think when it gets too much, when, in other words, things get out of hand or control, that's the best time to call it. And it's really helped me a lot through this semester, of just, sometimes it's just an easy email to your professors that you won't be able to make it. And I mean, if it's a big lecture, you don't need to even email them, right? You could just hang out, chill. But like the small classes, just email them, just lay your situation as it is. I don't think professors are gonna, I don't know, hunt you down and like slice your throat for not coming to the class.
Or burn down your home, perhaps.
Or burn down your home, and then you can grab your cigar and light that up just to find some way to relax.
Do you smoke cigars or are you just really obsessed with Andrew Tate? Okay.
No, I swear I'm not. I swear I'm not. I just thought it would be a good running joke.
It is.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's so funny. Just like how this whole joke is burning.
What? Um, I think one thing that definitely does keep me going though is like the thought of my dream job, honestly. Like being able to help people however I want to. Well, not however I want to, but like, yeah, I don't know how else to like doing my dream work, essentially.
I mean, what keeps me at ease sometimes, it's just hoping that like what the work that you do will just, I guess, make an impact, or in my like, or just lessen the suffering in general, you know? Yeah, you can even bring out that metaphor, making a burning world.
But like he's so right because what do you call it? Climate change. Mission Zero. Hindsight. Changing skies. Which is also, a part of hindsight, which is why we brought it. Shameless plug.
Yeah, I mean, in a burning world, what are you going to do about it, sort of thing? And the only thing we can do is maybe throw water at it, or maybe a fire extinguisher. But at any
Just constrict the oxygen until it can't breathe anymore.
Maybe try to smother it with lighting a cigar in it.
what?
I don't know.
Is smothering us okay?
Like, you put too many cigars in the fire trying to light them. And
This is why you were supposed to be part of the hosting team.
Our cameraman's having a great time. Having a great cracking jokes left and right about smashing cigars. But yeah, in a good old burning world where our journal comes in is to address the issues about like, the climate crisis that's going on. We've been talking about with Mission Zero. And we also have our regular nonfiction, creative nonfiction work, Hindsight, which also is awesome, but it also has its own stresses too. And ultimately you come to question like, what exactly, yeah, what kind of stresses do we encounter? And ultimately, just like hindsight or any real world job, it's kind of a mess. Not to like, I'm not trying to say it to like, condemn or like trash on the journal. It's actually, I think, a really practical and reasonable thing to be thinking about, because ultimately, life is very disorienting, and ultimately you just have to find your way around it. And ultimately it just involves working with your people and finding time to, yeah, make the time to even make this journal happen, because ultimately this journal goes through a lot of hard work and sweat and tears.
Yeah, I think like for me, I'm not completely associated with the journal. I'm just working on this podcast. I think for me the hardest part is finding a time to meet. And that requires like this is going to be very controversial to say, but it requires a lot of work to figure out when everyone can meet because there's so many people that are working on this podcast that want to be in it and stuff like that. Trying to find a common time requires a lot of communication, and I think that's one thing that like is stressful, but it has helped me work on my communication skills.
And I think, just to add on to that too, I think it's also because Hindsight has a bunch of diverse students from different departments, and because of that, like, and they also come from different years, and just because of that, everyone's running on a different schedule, and having it work is awesome, right?
Yeah, no, it's literally like magic almost.
Like magic.
Just like magic. Or no, I can't fucking sing. Sorry.
Okay, but yeah, so ultimately, just finding a time is just really is what is practical skills that everyone needs, and at the same time, the ultimate stress is just having, um, yeah, just making things happen. And when everyone's on different pages, it's just all about communicating and making our best efforts to learn and go from there. But yeah, well, that is the end of episode of the Snap Branch.
Episode 1. Thank you for joining all of us. If you would like to submit artwork, photography, or a creative nonfiction piece to the Hindsight Journal, you can do this by visiting hindsight2020.com. That's hindsightjournal2020.com. You can always follow us on Instagram at hindsight.journal. Anyways, thank you. Enjoy your life. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of honestly nothing, but yeah.
Nothing but everything within the burning room.
AKA the snapped branch. I'm Shristi,
I'm Chris.
and we're signing out.